Nymphadora Tonks is a character that was pretty much skipped over in the films. She had very few scenes and lines compared to what she had in the book. She deserves her time in the spotlight, so in this video, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to do what the films could not, and give her character justice as I explain the entire life of Tonks from the books. Nymphadora was born to Edward or Ted and Andromeda Tonks. Her parents stood out very much because Andromeda was part of the Black family, being the sister of Bellatrix Lestrange and Narcissa Malfoy. She was expected to continue their pureblood family line by marrying a man from another pureblood family, just as her sisters did. Andromeda, however, did the complete opposite of this by marrying Ted Tonks, a Muggleborn. She was shunned by her family for this, and even scratched off their family tree. They saw her marrying a Muggleborn as a betrayal to the Black family and their heritage. Because of this, Nymphadora grew up never knowing her aunts or her first cousin Draco. Nymphadora was born a metamorph magus, meaning she could change her appearance at will. The day that she was born, her parents noticed that her hair changed color multiple times on that first day. As Nymphadora grew older, she started to hate her first name and resented her mother for naming her that.
Don't call me Nymphadora.
She decided that she wanted to be addressed by her surname, Tonks, instead of Nymphadora. Tonks was known for being very clumsy, tripping, and falling on too many things to count. She was also known for using her metamorph mage's powers to change the color and style of her hair on a weekly basis. When Tonks was 11, she got her Hogwarts letter, and she went to school the following fall and was sorted into Hufflepuff. She brought along with her clumsiness. One day in herbology, she caused a huge mess as she spilled all of her soil to the annoyance of Professor Sprout. Another time during her flying lesson, she clumsily crashed into the Owlery, the Astronomy Tower, the Whomping Willow, and Hagrid's garden. Tonks was introduced to a boggart when one of them came out of her classmate's pot in herbology, which took the form of the girl's worst fear, a werewolf. When Tonks' third year came around, she was very excited because third year was the first year that students could go to Hogsmeade. When she got there, she was very excited to go to Zonko's joke shop, the candy shop Honeydukes, and most importantly, having a butterbeer at the Three Broomsticks. When it came time to become a prefect, Tonks' head of house told her that she couldn't be one because she lacked certain necessary qualities like the ability to behave. She got a lot of detentions for using her metamorph magus abilities to turn into teachers. The worst thing that she ever did at school, however, was when she took the biggest venomous tentacula from the greenhouse and tried to put it under Filch's desk. Before she could, however, she fell on the way, accidentally tossing it into the potions classroom. This led to the plant grabbing Professor Snape. Both Snape and Sprout agreed to give Tonks daily detentions until the end of her school days. Tonks, however, made a deal with Sprout to let her off the hook if she passed a special herbology test. At the end of school, Tonks got all outstanding or exceeds expectations, the two highest grades on at least 5 NEWTs. She had to do this to qualify for becoming an Auror, which was her desired field choice. When Tonks finished school, Mad-Eye Moody took her under his wing. He taught and trained her to become an Auror, and she quickly became his favorite and his prodigy at the Ministry of Magic. During Tonks' Auror training, she got top marks in concealment and disguise because of her metamorph magus abilities. She almost failed the stealth and tracking part though, due to her clumsiness. When Voldemort returned, Dumbledore re-established the Order of the Phoenix, an alliance to fight Voldemort and his Death Eaters. The Order very sneakily tried to convince people in the Ministry to join them, and one of those people was Tonks. She was too young to have been a part of the First Order back in the late 70s and early 80s. Because Mad-Eye was a part of it, it was easy to convince her as she looked up to her former mentor. Tonks being an Auror made her become one of the Order's greatest assets because she worked for the Ministry. She was able to be a spy for the Order, something that put them on the equal playing field as Voldemort, who they knew would have his own spies that infiltrated the Ministry. The summer after Voldemort returned, Tonks was constantly at the Order's headquarters in number 12 Grimmauld Place. It was actually a Black family house, which was her mother's side of the family. Here she also met her cousin Sirius Black, who she and most of the wizarding world thought was a Death Eater who had escaped from Azkaban. He was living at the headquarters and she found out that he was actually innocent, and the two cousins built up a great relationship. Sirius had known Tonks' mother, Andromeda, well, and said that she was his favorite cousin when he was younger. The Weasleys also lived at the headquarters that summer, and Tonks became close with all of the kids, especially Ginny, who she treated like a younger sister. During most dinners at the headquarters, Tonks entertained Ginny and Hermione, who was also staying there, by transforming her nose between mouthfuls. The Order's top priority was protecting the prophecy that had to do with Harry and Voldemort. Tonks and the Order members switched off guarding the prophecy in the Department of Mysteries, a job that was very important. One night, Tonks volunteered to go on a mission to pick Harry up from his aunt and uncle's house. When Remus Lupin introduced her to Harry as Nymphadora, she told him it was Tonks and said not to call her by her first name. Tonks went up to Harry's room with him to help unpack. When she looked in Harry's mirror, she said that purple wasn't her color. She focused and used her Metamorph Mage's powers to turn her purple hair to pink. This shocked Harry, who asked how she did that, and she explained to him that she was a Metamorph Magus. Harry was impressed that Tonks was an Auror, the career that Harry aspired for when he finished school. When Harry asked if he could learn to be a Metamorph Magus, she chuckled and said that she bet Harry wished he could cover up his scar. When they rode on broomsticks back to number 12 Grimmauld Place, they had to fly in formation to protect Harry at all costs. Tonks flew ahead of everyone, leading the way on Mad Eye's orders. After a long journey, Moody said that they should double back, but Tonks protested, asking if Mad Eye was mad, as all of them were freezing cold, tired, and desperate to land. One afternoon, Tonks helped Harry, Hermione, and the Weasleys clean out the Black family house, and they found a murderous ghoul lurking in the upstairs toilet. When Tonks went to work one day, Rufus Scrimgeour, another Ministry employee, began to ask Tonks some funny questions. After that, Tonks realized that she had to be extra careful not to let slip that she was part of the Order. One day, Tonks helped escort and guard the kids as they went to King's Cross Station. She hugged Hermione and Ginny as they got on board the Hogwarts Express. The three had grown close over the summer during their time at the Order's headquarters. Later that year, Tonks along with her former mentor Mad Eye escorted Harry, Hermione, and the Weasleys through London to visit Mr. Weasley at St. Mungo's Hospital after he had been attacked by Voldemort's snake. She was very interested in the vision that Harry had had. Tonks asked if there were any seers in his family. She said his visions were odd but useful, something Harry did not agree with, as he wanted nothing to do with them. For Christmas, Tonks gave Harry a small working model of a firebolt, which flew around the room. After winter break ended, Tonks once again escorted the kids to school, this time accompanied by Lupin. Tonks and Lupin ate breakfast at the headquarters and were discussing important Order business, but immediately fell silent when the kids entered. To ensure the kids' safety, rather than taking the Hogwarts Express, they took the night bus. When the night bus employee said Harry's name, Tonks threatened him, saying that if he shouted his name again, she would curse him into oblivion. One night, Severus Snape contacted the Order's headquarters and informed Tonks along with Lupin, Mad Eye, Kingsley, and Sirius, and said that Harry and his friends had gone to the Department of Mysteries after Voldemort showed Harry a fake vision of Sirius being tortured. They all immediately went there, and Tonks immediately stunned Lucius Malfoy before he could even raise his wand, which started a huge battle. During the battle, Tonks fought her aunt Bellatrix, whom she had never seen or met before. When Bellatrix got the upper hand on Tonks, Tonks' limp body fell down the steps that she was on, and a triumphant Bellatrix went to join her fellow Death Eaters in the battle. Here she got the upper hand on her and Tonks' cousin, Sirius. He was killed and fell through the veil in the Department of Mysteries. During the battle, Mad Eye, who was also seriously hurt, crawled over to where Tonks lay and attempted to revive her. After the battle was over, Tonks had to spend some time in St. Mungo's Hospital, but she made a full recovery after about a week. When she got out, she joined Mad Eye, Lupin, and Mr. and Mrs. Weasley to threaten the Dursleys, saying that if they didn't treat Harry right that summer, they would have to deal with them. Tonks became extremely depressed that summer for a few reasons. One was that she felt really guilty about Sirius's death, because if she didn't let Bellatrix get the upper hand on her, then Sirius might still be alive. But the main reason why she was upset was because she was in love with Remus Lupin, but he refused to be with her. He thought Tonks deserved someone young and whole, and said that she didn't want to date a werewolf who was too dangerous, too old for her, and too poor. Tonks, however, told him that she didn't care, and said that she wanted to be with him, but Lupin refused. Because of this, Tonks' appearance started to change, and she looked drawn, ill, mousy-haired, and miserable. Ron even compared her to Moaning Myrtle, and she even began having trouble with her metamorphosing. One night toward the end of the summer, she went to the burrow, and she and Mrs. Weasley talked late into the night. Mrs. Weasley was trying to cheer Tonks up as they talked about Lupin. They were interrupted, however, when Harry and Dumbledore arrived, to whom both Tonks and Mrs. Weasley greeted. When Tonks greeted them, however, Harry noted that she had somewhat of a forced smile. Tonks got up and thanked Mrs. Weasley for the tea and the sympathy. As she left, Mrs. Weasley invited her to dinner that weekend and said that Remus and Mad Eye were coming, but Tonks declined and walked out. She didn't think Lupin wanted to see her, and she didn't know if she could stomach seeing him. Tonks' new assignment as an Auror starting the following fall was to guard Hogwarts to give the school extra protection. When the Hogwarts Express came, she noticed that Harry had not gotten off. She knew that he had the invisibility cloak, and she noticed one of the compartments had all of the blinds down. She went in there and found a stunned Harry under his invisibility cloak with a broken nose, courtesy of Draco Malfoy. They had to jump off the train onto the platform as it was pulling away. Harry thanked Tonks, and she told him it was no problem, but without a smile. Tonks fixed Harry's broken nose and sent the Patronus up to the castle to let them know that she had Harry. Her Patronus had changed to take the form of a werewolf, which in the Wizarding World happens when you love someone so much that your Patronus matches theirs. So because she loved Remus, her Patronus took the same form as his. As they walked toward the school, Harry noted that Tonks was very different from how she was last year. She used to laugh easily and had been upbeat, but now she seemed much sadder, older, and more serious. Snape came down to get Harry, and when he did, he told Tonks he was interested to see her new Patronus. He then told her that he thought she was better off with the old one, with malice in his voice. He then said with a smile on his face that the new one looked weak. Tonks had a look of shock and anger on her face after he said this, but she walked away not saying anything back. Tonks was invited to Christmas at the Burrow by Mrs. Weasley, but when she learned that Lupin would be there, she decided to spend Christmas all alone. After winter break had ended, Tonks heard a rumor that Greyback, a werewolf, had attacked someone. She immediately went to see Dumbledore to make sure it wasn't Lupin, only to find out that Dumbledore was away. As she was walking out, she saw Harry. Harry saw tears fill in her eyes for a second, and noted that she was extremely distracted during their conversation. At the end of term, Tonks was guarding Hogwarts during the Battle of the Astronomy Tower. Death Eaters infiltrated the school with the help of Draco Malfoy, and a huge battle unfolded. Tonks and the Order were losing badly. Tonks was furious with herself for allowing Snape and Malfoy to just walk past her, not knowing that they were part of the Death Eaters. After the battle ended, Tonks stood with the Weasleys, Lupin, Hermione, and Luna over Bill Weasley's hospital bed after being mauled by the werewolf Greyback. Tonks was shocked when Harry and Ginny told the group that Dumbledore was dead. She pointed out that they had trusted Dumbledore's judgment about Snape, saying that he swore Snape was on their side. She said she always thought Dumbledore knew something about Snape that they didn't, and said that she would love to know what Snape told Dumbledore to convince him. When Fleur said that she still wanted to marry Bill, even though he was attacked by a werewolf, Tonks yelled at Lupin saying, "You see? She still wants to marry him, even though he's been bitten. She doesn't care." Lupin told her that it was different because Bill wasn't a full werewolf. Tonks yelled at him again, saying that she didn't care and that she's told him this a million times. Lupin stared at the ground, not meeting her eyes, and Mrs. Weasley chimed in, saying that he was being ridiculous and said that Tonks wants him and nobody else. Lupin said that this wasn't the time to discuss this, as Dumbledore had just died. McGonagall then stood up and said that Dumbledore would have been happier than anybody to know that there was a little more love in the world. After that night, Tonks and Lupin finally got together, and the two became the happiest they had ever been. Tonks' hair went back to the bright pink color rather than the dull brown, and at Dumbledore's funeral, they sat together holding hands. That summer, Tonks and Lupin decided to get married, not wanting to waste any time, especially with the current state of the Wizarding World. Tonks was once again part of a mission to extract Harry from the Dursleys, but this time it was a lot more complicated. Tonks' parents were involved in the mission as well. The Order set up magical protections at a dozen different houses, one of which was Ted and Andromeda Tonks' house, which is where Harry and Hagrid would go. Meanwhile, they used Polyjuice Potion to make there be 7 different Harrys, each going to a different one of the protected houses. Then they would take a portkey from there to the Burrow. Each of the 7 Harrys went with one of the Order members. Tonks escorted Ron, who was one of the disguised Harrys, and they were going to Ron's Aunt Muriel's house. They flew by broomstick, and when they went into the air, they were set into a trap. There was a whole army of Death Eaters waiting for them. Ron saved both himself and Tonks by stunning one of the Death Eaters right in the face. Bellatrix eventually caught up to them, and she was trying to kill Tonks with everything that she had. Tonks said it seemed as though she wanted to kill her as badly as she wanted to kill Harry. They got away, but Tonks was upset that she didn't get Bellatrix, saying that she owed her one for Sirius. Because they ran into so much trouble, Tonks and Ron missed their portkey, and it went back to the Burrow without them, frightening Ginny and Molly, who was waiting for everyone to return. When Lupin returned, he became more worried than anyone, his face set and white as he waited for his wife. Ron and Tonks were forced to apparate just outside the Burrow's protective enchantments and fly down with a skidding and uneasy landing. When they arrived, Tonks ran into Remus's arms, and Remus was unable to speak. That happiness wore off fast, however, when Bill told the group that Mad-Eye was dead. Tonks was devastated. Her mentor, the man that she looked up to, the man that to her was unstoppable, was gone. She cried into a handkerchief, unable to form words. Harry told Tonks that he had promised her parents to have her contact them when she got to the Burrow safely. Tonks let her parents know that she was alright, which finally put Mr. and Mrs. Tonks at ease, knowing that their daughter was okay. Tonks later found out that she was pregnant, which made her extremely happy. Lupin, however, was not thrilled, and was actually very scared and uneasy about the whole situation. This showed when they showed up at Harry's birthday party. Tonks was rather radiant, while Lupin looked scared and unhappy. When Mr. Weasley sent a Patronus to warn everyone that the new Minister of Magic, Rufus Scrimgeour, was coming, Lupin immediately said that they shouldn't be there, and grabbed Tonks by the wrist, and they left. They knew that the Ministry was very anti-werewolf at the time, and they decided that Lupin being there wasn't a good idea. The two returned to the Burrow for Bill and Fleur's wedding. After greeting Harry, Harry noticed that Lupin's smile turned into lines of misery. During the ceremony, Death Eaters crashed the wedding, and Lupin and Tonks helped fight them off, while Harry, Ron, and Hermione got away. After the trio escaped, the Death Eaters ended up going to every Order-connected house. This included Tonks' parents' house, who were tortured, trying to get information on where Harry went. Afterward, they were fine but shaken up. After everything that had happened, Lupin could not keep his fears and misery inside anymore. He admitted that marrying Tonks was a bad idea and that he had regretted it ever since. He told Tonks that he had made her an outcast and was ashamed of himself for possibly passing on his werewolf condition to their unborn baby. He said that both she and the baby would be better off without a husband and father to be ashamed of. He left to go find Harry, Ron, and Hermione, hopeful that he could join them on their mission to stop Voldemort. Tonks was devastated and went to stay with their parents' house. After being called a coward by Harry for leaving Tonks and the baby, Lupin returned to Tonks, realizing that Harry was right. Shortly after he returned, Tonks' father went on the run as the Death Eaters were going after Muggleborns. One night, when Tonks was listening to Potter Watch, a radio broadcast made by the rebels, she heard that her father Ted was killed while on the run. This made both her and her mother devastated, and Lupin was there for both of them in their grief. A few months later, Tonks gave birth to her and Lupin's baby. He was a boy, and they named him Teddy after Tonks' dead father. Tonks thought that he looked like Lupin, but Lupin thought that he looked like Tonks. He was born with black hair, but it turned to ginger in just an hour, a sign that he was a metamorph magus, as Tonks herself had her hair change color multiple times in the first day she was born as well. Both Tonks and Lupin agreed that Harry should be the godfather, which Harry was honored to accept. When Lupin and Tonks got word that the rebellion was starting at Hogwarts, Tonks went to stay with her mother along with the baby, while Lupin went to Hogwarts. Tonks eventually joined the battle as well, leaving Teddy with her mother Andromeda, as she couldn't stand not knowing if Lupin was okay. As soon as she arrived, she asked Harry where Remus was, and when Harry told her that Lupin planned to lead a group of fighters into the grounds, Tonks sped off without another word. Tonks later got word that Lupin was dueling a Death Eater named Dolohov, and she got very worried. Ginny comforted her, saying that she was sure he was alright, but Tonks once again ran off, worried about her husband. While looking for Lupin, Tonks ran into her Aunt Bellatrix. They fought each other for the third time, Bellatrix once again fighting hard to kill her niece. Bellatrix got the upper hand once again, but this time she finished the duel with a killing blow. During the battle, Lupin was also killed during his duel with Dolohov. They lay next to each other in the Great Hall, both pale-faced but peaceful looking. Both of them dying made their son Teddy an orphan. He was raised by his grandmother Andromeda, but he also spent a lot of time at the Potters with his godfather Harry. Tonks was a clumsy, funny, down-to-earth woman who loved nothing more than putting smiles on people's faces. She will always be remembered as a hero that gave her life for a larger cause, a cause that made the world a much better place, a place where her son didn't have to live in fear, the greatest gift that she could have given him in her passing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. You can follow me on social media. Links for that will be down below. If you like this video, make sure you press that subscribe button to help grow the channel. I want to give a huge shout out to all my patrons listed below. If you want to be featured on the next video, plus get a bunch of other rewards, check out my Patreon. Again, thank you so much for watching, and look out for more great videos on the way.